नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji. We've been studying from Srimad Bhagavat, and last week we discussed chapter number 6, which was continuation of the conversation between Naradji and Vyasdevji. So today's chapter is chapter number 7, which is titled Son of Drona Punished. So let me share my screen with you, and then we will recite that verse today. Okay. I hope you can see my screen now. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Parikshito ath Rajrishe. Parikshito ath Rajrishe. Janma karma vilapanam. Janma karma vilapanam. Samstham cha Panduputrana. Samstham cha Panduputrana. Vakshaye Krishna kathodayam. Vakshaye Krishna kathodayam. Word by word translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please hear. Parikshit, of King Parikshit. Ath, thus. Raj Rishi, of the king who was the Rishi among the kings. Janm, birth. Karma, activities. Vilapanam, deliverance. Samstham, renunciation of the word. Cha, and. Panduputranam, of the sons of Pandu. Vakshaye, I shall speak. Krishna Katha Udayam, that which gives rise to the transcendental narration of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. So Prabhuji Mataji, just so you understand the context, if you may recall that Shaunaka Adi Rishi, they had 3 questions from Sut Goswami, and those 3 questions, first question was related to the writer of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Srila Vyasdev. Then they had a question about the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by Shukdev Goswami. And the third is the hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam. The prime hearer was Parikshit Maharaj. So these were the 3 questions, or about these 3, you can say, personalities. Those questions were asked by Shaunakadi Rishi. And in the previous chapter, in last 2 chapters, we have discussed about the writer of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasdev. Because one of the question was, under whose instruction, under whose guidance, under whose inspiration did Vyasdev write Srimad Bhagavatam, and why did he write Srimad Bhagavatam? So we've covered that part, that Vyasdev, Srila Vyasdev wrote Srimad Bhagavatam under the guidance of Sri Naradji. Then the other question that they had is that why did Vyasdev taught this Srimad Bhagavatam to his son, who is Shukdev Goswami? And the third question was where and how did Shukdev Goswami meet Parikshit Maharaj? How did that conversation happen? So now we are going to get into so from today's chapter, we will start getting into this third question, or the answer to the third question. So this chapter now leads to the birth of Parikshit Maharaj, and then in subsequent chapters we will discuss how the circumstances, how the situations happened, and how in the end Parikshit Maharaj decided to sit on the bank of Ganges, whereas he knew that he will be beaten by Takshak. So, and then there is a meeting between, and Srila Shukdev Goswami walks into that assembly, and then he speaks Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So in today's chapter, we will be discussing, or you can say it leads us to the answer of the third question, answer of third question, and it begins with the birth of, or the events leading to the birth of Parikshit Maharaj. Okay, so, and here in this chapter, or in this shlok, Sud Goswami ji is now going to speak to Shaunakadi Rishi. He will start, his answers will start leading into that third question, birth of Parikshit Maharaj. But he's making a very important statement here, which is very important for all of us. So what he's saying is that he is going to start, or he is going to discuss the narration of the topics of Lord Krishna and the birth and activities of Parikshit Maharaj. But the main point is Krishna Katha Udayam. So the topics that we discuss, if they lead to the discussion of Lord Shri Krishna, that is the main point, which gives rise, Udaya. Udaya as in giving rise to the Krishna Katha. Yeah. Even though it talks about the birth of Parikshit Maharaj, but it is about Krishna Katha. Like I said last time, any small things that you're doing in your lives, that you experience in your lives, even if it's about you getting COVID vaccinated and your health being safe, it can become a Krishna Katha. You can say that Krishna guided me. Because of mercy of Krishna, I was able to get the vaccine, and then, I'm protected. Because of mercy of Krishna, these things happen in my life. So make those pastimes, or so-called our activities, Krishna Katha, Krishna's pastime. That is the mood, Prabhuji Mataji. Yeah? So translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please hear. Sut Goswami thus addressed the rishis headed by Shaunaka. Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of the Lord Shri Krishna and topics of the birth, activities, and deliverance of Parikshit Maharaj, the sage amongst kings, as well as topics of renunciation of the worldly order by the sons of Pandu. So what he's saying here is, this is about the birth of Parikshit Maharaj, this is about deliverance of Parikshit Maharaj and renunciation of Pandu Putras, but it is Krishna Katha. Remember that point. Yeah. So purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please hear. Lord Krishna is so kind to the fallen souls that he personally incarnates himself amongst the different kinds of living entities and takes part with them in daily activities. Any historical fact, old or new, which has a connection with the activities of the Lord is to be understood as a transcendental narration of the Lord. Without Krishna, all the supplementary literatures like the Puranas and Mahabharata are simply stories of historical facts. Very important. But with Krishna, they become transcendental. Yeah. And when we hear of them, we at once become transcendentally related with the Lord. This is how we are connecting with the Lord. Yeah. Shranvatam, Shraddhaya. Yeah. Listening with full faith. These are not stories. These are not bedtime stories. These are the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam is also a Puran, but the special significance of this Puran is that the activities of the Lord are central and not just supplementary historical facts. Srimad Bhagavatam is thus recommended by Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the spotless Puran. There is a class of less intelligent devotees of the Bhagavad Puran who desire to relish at once the activities of the Lord narrated in the 10th canto without first understanding the primary cantos. Again, very important. Please listen carefully. Yeah, they are under the false impression that the other cantos are not concerned with Krishna. Yeah, and thus more foolishly than intelligently they take the reading of the 10th canto. These readers are specifically told herein that the other cantos of the Bhagavatam are as important as the 10th canto. No one should try to go into the matters of the 10th canto without having thoroughly understood the purport of the other 9 cantos. As I said earlier on, these 9 cantos, Prabhuji Mataji, are like 9 months in the womb of the mother. So you are getting ready to come out and face the world. Similarly, please read these first 9 cantos. When you are able to read, when you have read, when you have understood, right? Or when you have realized rather than understanding, then we will be at a platform, we'll be in a position to relish the 10th canto. Krishna is not without his devotees of all the rasas, and the pure devotees like the Pandavas are not without Krishna. The devotees and the Lord are interlinked and they cannot be separated. Therefore, talks about them are all Krishna Katha or topics of the Lord. So anything spoken about Krishna, anything spoken by Krishna, anything spoken about the devotees of Krishna, anything spoken about by the devotees of Krishna, this is all Krishna Katha, Prabhuji Mataji. So let's be mindful of that fact. So Srila Bhaktivedanta purports ki Jai. Now let's do Manglacharan and then we will discuss further. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamlam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitantam Sajivam Savadhetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarobhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bhuter Mahadbhir Yaima Puro Vibho Nirma Yashete Yadamosha Purusha Bhunte Gunansho Dashatmakam Solanka Srashta Bhagavan Vachamsi Me Shri Krishna Sharanam Sharanaagatam Katha Amritam Satat Pibatam Bhakti Vedanta Marga Panthanam Sarvalok Rishi Deva Janma Prasannam Sarvalok Rishi Deva Janma Prasannam. Hare Krishna. So at the end of the last chapter, when Shri Naradji concludes, before he leaves, you remember that picture that we had on the screen last time. So Shri Naradji, before he leaves, he tells Vyasdevji that Sarvam Idam सर्वम idam aham आख्यातम सर्वम तद idam आख्यातम यद पृष्ठो अहम तवया अनघ मम जन्म कर्म रहस्यम आत्मानम bhavtast atma poshanam. Yeah. So what Naradji is telling Vyasdevji is that whatever you have questioned me, anagha, O sinless one, whatever you have questioned, and I have answered that. Yeah, everything I have spoken to you, yet that whatever that you asked of me, and my janm and my karma, or the rahasya. Yeah, because Naradji shared his past life story as well as per questions asked by Vyasdevji, and he says, I am sure those answers to your questions would be fulfilling to your soul. Bhavtascha Atma Toshan. And then he tells Vyasdevji, then you please write Srimad Bhagavatam. And by saying this, then Naradji leaves. So that was the chapter number 6. Now we discuss today's chapter. Okay, so the chapter is titled The Son of Drona Punished. So this is the assembly in Naimisharanya. Naimisharanya is a very nice place. It is near Lucknow in Uttar Pradesh. So this is the forest. This is where you see Sut Goswamiji is sitting on the Vyasasana there, and all the rishis are there, and the one sitting at the front is the oldest among them. He's the Shaunak Rishi, and that's why it's called Shaunak Adi Rishi. So Shaunak Rishi is a Brahman, as I said earlier, and he is the leader of all these rishis assembled there, and he is asking question on the behalf of those 10,000 plus rishis who were sitting there and who was performing the yagna ceremony before Sut Goswami arrived. So Shaunakadi Rishi, they are asking questions from Sut Goswami. So now Shaunak Rishi asks a question from Sut Goswami, and his question is, Nirgate Narade Suta Bhagavan Badarayana Shrutvans Tad Abhipretam Tatah Kim Karod Vibhu. So he's asking, Shaunakji is asking, O Sut, the great and transcendently powerful Vyasdev. He's actually addressing him as Bhagwan Badarayana. Yeah, he is called Bhagwan Badarayana because his ashram, Vyasdev's ashram, because there are a lot of trees, berry trees. There is a fruit in India called ber. So there are a lot of berry trees around where Vyasdevji's ashram was. So he's also called Badarayana. Ayana, which is a forest, forest of berries. So what did he do? After he heard from Shri Narad Muni, and after Narad's departure, what did Vyasdev do? So this is the query from Shaunakadi Rishi. So then Sut Goswami starts answering to their questions, and Sut Goswami tells them that after Naradji left, now Vyasdevji, he went back to his ashram. Yeah. Now let's understand the meaning of word ashram. We all have heard ashram, and if we, in our minds, we often have an image of an ashram, that ashram is somewhere where there is, yagna ceremony happening all the time, where is some people sitting in the orange clothes. So that is also right, but Prabhuji Mataji, as per Shastra, ashram is something that we take shelter of. Ashraya. Ashraya is shelter, and ashram is a place that we have taken shelter of, right? We are all in the grahast, so, and this is also called grahast ashram. We have 4 ashrams: brahmacharya ashram, grahast ashram, vanprastha ashram, and then sannyas ashram. So basically ashram, now the meaning of ashram is that there are certain rules and regulations that are to be followed in that particular stage of life. Yeah? And grahastha is also supposed to follow some rules and regulations of the ashram. So your temple, your house is an ashram as long as there is a altar there, as long as there is a place for the Supreme Lord, then it become ashram. Otherwise it is just like any forest, it just becomes a forest. You know how we called a big place, a big palace, or you can say a big house is called, sometimes they call bhavan, bhavan. So bha means Bhagavan, right? And one you can say forest. So if there is a house, or if there is a place where there is God, where there is Bhagwan, then it is called bhavan. But if there is God missing, then it is just a one. Yeah, then it is simply a forest. And in forest, what happens? The animals, they're just roaming around. And then it is not a house, it is not a bhavan, it is just a one. So your house or our house is just a forest where we, like animals, living in that place. But if there is a God, then it becomes bhavan, otherwise it is just one. Yeah. So similarly, Vyasdev ji, he was a grahastha, yeah, because he had a son, he had a wife. So he went back to his ashram. He went back to his ashram, and there now Sud Goswami tells them that Vyasdev ji, he started meditating. Yeah, he says, Bhakti yogen manasi samyag pranahite amle apashyat purusham purnam mayam chatad apashray. So Vyasdev ji went back to his ashram, and then he bhakti yogena, yeah, with the mood of devotion, he started meditating. Manasi, he controlled his mind, and in a trance, he with a mood of devotion, yeah, samyag pranahite amle, yeah, samyag is completely, perfectly, pranahite is absorbed. He was perfectly absorbed, or he was perfectly resolved as a resolution. Yeah, amale, without any amal. Mal means some mal, some bad thing, right? But here he is without any mal. And by the way, mal doesn't mean that the house is nice and clean. Mal means it is the heart. In the heart, yeah, it is feeling of I am this, I am that, I own this, right? As Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he says, Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tatparatven nirmalam, yeah, Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tatparatven nirmalam anukulyen krishnanu shilanam bhakti uttama. So he says that sarvopadhi, upadhi as in you free from all the designations. Designation, I'm the master of the house, I am this, I own this, I control this, I have that. All the designations, you are completely free from all the designations. Yeah. Then you become nirmal. Yeah. And anukulena Krishna. Right. Then and your activities are as per or for the pleasure of Krishna, or as per the instructions of Krishna. Yeah, Shilanam Bhakti Uttama, that is the Uttama Bhakti. With that mood, with that Bhakti mood, Vyasdev ji sat in a trance. Yeah. And then what did he see? Apashyat Purusham Purnam. So in that trance, Vyasdev ji could see that Purush, that Adi Purush, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamham Bhajami. And here, very important, Sudji says, Purusham Purnam. He just did not say Purusham, right? Not any incarnation of Krishna. Purn Purush. Yes. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. You may recall we have discussed that. Yeah. Etecha Amsa Kala Pumsa. Yeah. But Krishna is the Lord himself. So he meditated on Lord Krishna, Purn Purush. So in that trance, Vyasdev could see Lord Krishna, and he also saw Mayam Chatad Apashray. He also saw Maya Devi, who was under the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Now, Supreme Lord has two Maya, Bahiranga Shakti and Antaranga Shakti. Mahamaya, Yog Maya. Yeah. Mahamaya is the material energy, right? That we see all around us. Yeah. And Yog Maya is the internal Shakti. Yeah. And we Jivas, Prabhuji Mataji, we are called Tatast. Tatast literally means, Tat means on the beach, you can say. Tat means on the beach. You are sitting on the beach. You are not in the water, Neither you are in the water nor you are on the land. So you are on the tat, literally tatast, who is situated on the tat, who is situated on the bank. So we Jeev, Prabhuji Mataji, we are the tatast Shakti. So we are fluctuating between this side and this side, this side and this side. Sometimes we go into the Maya, sometimes we come. Yeah. So once Srila Prabhupada's disciple asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, when we are the devotee of Krishna, then why does Maya come and attack us? So Srila Prabhupada said to them, oh, you are always under the Maya. You are always under the influence of Maya. Sometimes you come and become a devotee. Yes? So we are not always devotee. We are always under the influence of Maya, but sometimes we become a devotee. Whereas people think I am a devotee, sometimes Maya attacks me. No, it's other. Yeah. So that's our position, Prabhuji. Yeah. So Vyasdevji could see the Maya, both the Mayas. Yeah. And he also saw the Jeev, who is under the control of Maya. So Vyasdevji saw three things. Yeah. Bhakti yogena manasi. Yeah. Samyak pranahite amle apashat purusham purnam mayam chatad apashre. So he saw Purna Purush, he saw his Maya, the Yog Maya and the Mahamaya, and he also saw the Jeev Tattva like us and other living entities who are suffering because of the influence of the Maya. Yeah. So he saw that. And then what did he say? He says, Yaya sammohito jivo. That Maya, sammohito jivo, who has put these jivas into the illusion. Yaya sammohito jivo atmanam trigunatmakam paroapi manute anartham. Yeah. Yat kritam cha abhipadyati. So he saw Supreme Lord, he saw his Maya, he saw Jeev, and he saw those Jivas are illusioned by the Maya. Yeah. Atmanam Trigunatmakam. Because of the three modes of material nature. So these are three important shlokas, Prabhuji Mataji. Please hear carefully, and if you have any questions, please write them down. So here Vyasdevji is describing the position. Before he's going to start writing the Srimad Bhagavatam, he's going into a trance. So he starts seeing the Lord, then he sees the Maya, then he sees the Jeevs, then he's seeing these Jivas, how they are being put into illusion by the Maya. And we are into that illusion. Then he also goes to the further level, because we are in these because of these modes of nature. Yeah. Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. Mode of passion, mode of goodness, mode of ignorance. We are in these modes. We are fluctuating in these three modes. Because of three modes, what happens? Manute anartham. Because of these three modes, and he says, Paroapi, even though we are transcendental. Mamaye vansho jeev loke jeev bhut sanatana. We are part and parcel of Krishna, but because of the influence of these three modes, Prabhuji Mataji, we start thinking ourselves this body. Yeah, we think ourselves of this body, and then all the relationship of this body, we think they are me and mine. And then he says, Tat kritam cha abhipadyate. And because of that, we become responsible for all the actions that we are doing. And then because of that, we go into action, reaction, and action, reaction. So that's what Vyasdevji is seeing now. It's like, on his screen, on his mind screen, on the screen of his heart, he can clearly see that this is how jivas are suffering. And then Sud Goswami says, Anartho upshamam sakshat bhakti yogam adhokshaje. Anarth means unearth, without any meaning. So all the activities, if your activity is related to Krishna, then it has a meaning. Without Krishna, then it's shrama evhi kevla. Yeah, we've already discussed that as well in the second chapter. 1.2, we discussed that. Yeah. Dharmasya hi apvargasya na arthaya utkalpate. Yeah. So the purpose of the dharma, earth, is the meaning, is to get liberated, is to get out of this cycle of birth and death. So here, Sud Goswami is saying that he saw that Maya, and anartho upsamam. Upsamam means to burn that, to burn the anarthas, to cut this cycle of karmas. Yeah, sakshat adhokshaje, bhakti yogam adhokshaje. Devotional service to that Supreme Lord who cannot be seen by these material senses. Adho Akshaj. Yeah, we cannot see this material because he is beyond these material senses. Yeah? So he saw that. This is Sud Goswamiji is describing Vyasdev's what he's thinking and how he's going to do that. So he saw that, and then he says, Lokasya ajanato vidvans chakre satvata sanhita. And now he says, Lokasya ajanat. That is the process by the Bhakti Yoga. But because we don't know that process, Lokasya, the living entities, we don't know that, then because of that Vidwan, that knowledgeable Srila Vyasdev, Chakre, he created what? Satvata Samhita. Now, Satvat, he is referring to the Satvik. Yeah. And Satvat also referring to one of the Purvaj of Lord Krishna is also Satvat. We will discuss when we go to chapter 9, Bhishma Pitama, when he is glorifying, when he is praying to Lord Krishna, in the very first prayer, he is saying, Iti mati rupa kalpita vitrishna bhagavati satvata pungave vibhumni swasukham upagate kvachit vihartum Prakriti mupeyushiya bhava pravaha. So he's addressing Lord Krishna in the second line. Satvata pungave vibhumni. Satvat. So remember that word Satvat. So Satvat is one of the Purvaj of Lord Shri Krishna, and Satvat also refers to people who are in the mode of goodness, people who are in the mode of devotion, who are in the Satvik. Satvata Samhita. Yeah. So this Samhita, this Srimad Bhagavatam, that Vidwan Vyasdev, he wrote this, which is about the devotees of the Lord, which is also about Satvat. Yeah, I've already mentioned Satvat Pungave. Pungave means who is the leader of the Satvat Vansh. So Satvat is one of the Purvas of Lord Shri Krishna, so Lord Krishna appeared, you can say, in that Vansh. So he wrote, so Vyasdev ji wrote that. And then in the fourth slok, he says, Yasyam vai shruyamanayam. Yasyam vai shruyamananam Krishne Parama Purushe. Now that Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, Yasyam, just that literature that he has written about the Satvat, Lord Shri Krishna. Once again, he says, just Yasya vai. Yasyam vai means certainly. Just by hearing that, yeah, Shruyamanaya, which you are doing now, which all of us doing now, which all of these 10,000 plus rishis sitting there and doing that, they're just hearing that. Yeah. So he says, Yasyavai Shruyamanaya, just by hearing that, which is about Krishna Param Purusha. Lord Krishna, which is the Param Purush, which is the supreme, which is the original, Adyam Puran Purusham Navayovanamcha, who is the Adi, who is the Puran, who is the original supreme personality of God. Yeah, just by hearing that. And by hearing that, what he says, then what happens is Shok, Moh, Bhaya, Apaha. So we are all suffering from three things, Prabhuji Mataji. Shok is lamentation. Moh is illusion. And Bhaya is fear. Yeah. So we are always lamenting for the past. We are illusioned about the present. And we are fearful about the future. So just by hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam, yeah, just by hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam, then what he says, and he also says that Bhaktir Utpadyate, the devotional service will develop, and with the development of the devotional service, then what will happen is all these three things, Shok, Moh, Bhaya, they will go away. Yeah. So that's what Vyasdev ji did. So Sud Goswami ji has answered their question that what did. So in this question he is asking, Kim Karod Vibhu, Tatah Kim Karod Vibhu, after Narad Rishi left, what did he do? So he says after he left, he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, and I've discussed these 4 shlokas with you. These are very important shlokas. You can go and read them if you like. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yeah. 1.7. Chapter number 1.7, and these are like principle, Siddhant. So here we are talking about, once again, I just repeat the summary. So he saw Supreme Lord, he saw his both the Mayas, He saw how the jivas are being, illusioned by the Maya. And then he also has a solution that by performing the devotional service to the Supreme Lord, we can get out of this cycle of birth, death, or get out of this illusion. And to help us do that, Vyasadeva Ji has written this Satvat Samhita. And this, if you can't read, he says, Yasya Vaishruya Manaya, just by hearing, which you are doing now, which I am doing now, and everybody around us is doing now. So we are all together into this. Just by hearing that, Prabhuji Mataji, the devotional service, the devotional service will manifest, bhakti will generate, yeah, just by hearing that, and we will be free from all these three: shok, moh, bhay, lamentation, fear, and illusion. We will be free from that. And then he says, Sud Goswami further goes on to say that he wrote this Srimad Bhagavatam, and then he says he taught his son Shukdev Goswami this Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, so he taught this. Now there is another question. I think I've spoken to you earlier that yes, earlier I've discussed with you. So this picture that you see on your screen, so this bluish boy, this is Shukdev Goswami. He was born, he came out of the womb of his mother when he was 16, and he left home straight away. And on the back, you see, there is one, that with the head, hairs tied on the head, and the beard, that is Vyasadeva Ji. So Shukdev Goswami, as soon as he was born, he left his home, and then Vyasadeva Ji went and calling for his name. So as we all know, he was a liberated soul right from his birth. So now the question that Shaunakadi Rishi asked from Sud Goswami is that what was the need for Shukdev Goswami to study such a massive literature? So they are saying that we have heard that Savai, that Shukdev Goswami, to whom Vyasadeva Ji taught Srimad Bhagavatam, he was Nivrati Nirata. Yeah, Sarvatra Upekshe Muni. He was Muni. He was Sarvotra Upekshe. He was detached from everything. Nivrati, Nirata. He had no attachment, right? And then he says that Kasyeva Brihitam Etat. Yeah, for what reason? Yeah, he had to study this Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, some adhyasata. Some means properly, completely. Adhyasata means adhyan, as to why did he have to study. He was Atmaram. So they're saying he was Muni, he was Atmaram, he was detached from the beginning. Why did he have to study? Yeah. Now some of you might ask this question that Prabhuji, I am fully realized. Why do I need to study? Because he is already detached. Now we just have to wait for my time to come and go back to Godhead. Why did he have to study? Yeah. So they asked that question. Now to that question, very important, to that question, now Sud Goswami tell them that Atma Ramascha Munyo Nirgrantha api urukrame kurvanti ahetuki bhaktim itham bhut guno. So he tells them, and this is the translation of this shlok that I just said. So he's saying all the different varieties of Atma Rams, those who take pleasure in the Atma or spirit self-realized, and especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. Even the liberated souls get attracted. So I tell you very nicely how Shukdev Goswami, as I'm saying, Shukdev Goswami left his home, and Vyasadeva Ji went and followed him and tried to call him. And as he was passing by this pond where some women, they were taking a bath in that river. So Shukdev Goswami, he wasn't wearing any clothes. He was just walking naked. So when they saw him, they did not feel any inhibition. They just continued with their activities. But as soon as Vyasadeva came, they tried to cover themselves. And then Vyasadeva asked them the question, why didn't you cover when my son, who is 16-year-old, when he was walking and he's naked, whereas I'm wearing clothes, I'm old, right? But why do you cover when I come? So they said, your son is already liberated. He does not make any difference. He is beyond the bodily conception. He doesn't know whether it's a human body, whether it's a male, female, etc. He's so liberated. He's beyond all of these, all of these thoughts. Whereas you are a grahastha. Yeah, even the Vyasadevji was also liberated. So this was the position of Shukdev Goswami. And Shukdev Goswami went into the forest, and Vyasadevji could not bring him back. And Vyasadevji felt very sad. And the whole reason Vyasadevji had a son, because he did not find any qualified disciple within his group of disciples to whom he could teach Srimad Bhagavatam, or who could go and spread the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he specifically prayed to have a son who will be qualified to go and preach Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, as soon as the son is born, he goes into the forest. So Vyasadevji gets worried. Now, Vyasadevji could not bring him back. He goes back to his ashram. As he goes back to his ashram, and in the ashram, he has Vaishampayan Rishi, he has Jaimini Rishi, yeah, he has Angirasa. So he has all those his disciples to whom he has already given the Vedas, right? The 4 Vedas that we discussed last time. So he has given, those disciples are there, their disciples are there, their disciples are there. So in that all surrounding area, you can see there are so many of his disciples there. Now, but Vyasadevji was worried about who will go and preach Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, Vyasadevji still had a plan. What he does is, he asks two hunters who go for hunting in the forest. He calls them and he teaches them 2 shlokas from Srimad Bhagavatam. And he tells them, when you go for hunting, because those hunters, they were using flute to attract the deers, right? So he said, you play the flute to attract the deers, but if you also sing these 2 verses, you can attract as many animals you like for hunting purpose. And they liked the idea. So Vyasadevji told them those 2 verses. So the one verse was about the beauty of Shri Krishna. Yeah? And I will share that verse with you. So this verse, Prabhuji Mataji, is in the 10th canto, and it is spoken by the gopis when they are remembering Krishna, and this describes the beauty of Shri Krishna. So there are 3 shlokas, 3 main shlokas in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhuji Mataji, which describes or which glorifies Krishna's beauty. So this shloka is spoken by the gopis. Then another shloka is spoken by Brahmaji. When Brahma Vimohan Leela happened, after that Brahmaji glorifies the beauty of Krishna. And then the 3rd shloka is spoken by the Brahman Patnis. Yeah, when Lord Krishna was there with his friends. So these Brahman Patnis, they also describe the beauty of Shri Krishna. But this particular shlok is spoken by the gopis when Krishna is going into the forest. And this chapter is titled the Venu Geet. So when Krishna is playing on his flute and he is entering into the forest, so that beautification or that beautiful vision of Krishna is being described by these gopis. Now let's try to visualize. Yeah. Barha Pidam Natvar Vapuhu Karnayo Karnikaram Barha Pidam Natvar Vapuhu Karnayo Karnikaram Bibharat Vasa Kanakakapisham Bibharat Vasa Kanakakapisham Vaijayantim Chamala Vaijayantim Chamala Randhran Veno Madhu Sudhaya Randhran Veno Madhur Sudhaya Purayan Gop Vrindai Purayan Gop Vrindai Vrindaranyam Swapad Ramanam Vrindaranyam Swapad Ramanam Pravishad Gita Kirti Pravishad Gita Kirti. Now let me tell you the meaning of this verse, and then I think we will be able to appreciate. So they are glorifying the beauty of Krishna. Now Krishna is once again, let's take our minds. Krishna is about to, or he's entering into the Vrindavan forest. He's entering into the Vrindavan forest. His head is decorated with a beautiful jewel of peacock feather. Baraha Peedam. It's called peacock feather. So on the head, he's got his nice helmet or mukut, which has a peacock feather. Baraha Peedam. Natwar Vapu. Natwar is, he is in that Tribhangi form. Natwar is dance. Yeah. So as Krishna walks, yeah, when Bhishma Pitama glorifies, he again remembers Lalit Gati Vilas Valhvas Kalpito Rumana. So Lalit Gati, he says when Lord Krishna is walking, so there is a different feeling. Lalit, Chanchal, when he's walking. So Lord Krishna, Natwar Vapu. Vapu is in his body and Natwar is in the dancing form. So he's in the dancing form. He's got a nice helmet, mukut, a jewel which has got a peacock feather. Karnayo Karnikara. Karnayo means on the ears. On the ears has got a beautiful Karnikar flower. So Karnikar flower is, Prabhuji Mate, it's a blue lotus flower which Krishna has put on his ears. Yeah. So please try to visualize. Yeah, a beautiful lotus flowers on his ears. Karnikar. Karnayo Karnikar. And then he says, Bibharat Vasa Kanak Kapisham. He's wearing yellow garment, which is shining like gold. Kanak Kapisham. Yeah, which is shining like a gold. Vajayantim Chamala. And he's wearing Vajanti Mala. Yeah, Vajanti Mala is made up of 5 flowers. Yeah, so those flowers are white, red, blue, green, and yellow. Red, white, blue, green, and yellow, made up of 5 flowers, 5 color, you can say 5 color of flowers. And it is called Vajanti Mala. Vajanti also means the victorious, all victorious, who is always victorious, signifies that. So he is wearing a Vajanti Mala. He's wearing the beautiful yellow garment, shining like gold. He's got peacock feather on his head, and he's got this blue lotus around his ears. Yeah. And then he says, Randhran Veno. He's got flute, right? And then Randhran means holes. In the hole of flute, what he's doing is Adhar Sudha. Randhran Vero Adhar Sudha. Yeah. Purayan. Adhar is in his lips, his hoठ. From his lips, he is putting nectar. Sudha means nectar. He is putting nectar into the hole of the flute. Yeah, Puryan, he is filling. Yeah, and he is walking. As he walks, Swapad Ramanam. Yeah, Vrindaranyam Swapad Ramanam. He is entering into the Vrindavan forest on his feet, and his feet are decorating the land of Vrindavan. And Pravishat Gop Geeta Kirti, Gop Vrindai. So he is walking into the forest with other Gopas, and as he is entering, all the Gopas are singing his glories, Krishna's glories, Geeta Kirti. Yeah, I hope you got it. I'll just repeat the translation, and then it'll all come together. Yeah, in our minds, basically. So Krishna, he is walking into the Vrindavan forest on his own feet. His feet are decorating the land of Vrindavan. He is in a Natwar Vapu form, is in dancing form. He's got a helmet or a jewel on his head, which has got a peacock feather. He's got 2 blue lotus flowers on his ears. Yeah, he's wearing nice yellow garment, shining like gold. He's got a Vajanti Mala as well. And then he's got Venu, he's got flute in his hands, and he's playing flute. As he's playing the flute, then gopis are saying as if he's putting nectar into the holes of the flute. And then as he's walking with his friends, now his friends are singing his glories. Now as those hunters recited this shlok, then Shukdev Goswami, who was hiding in the forest, he came out. He got attracted. He got attracted to the shloka, and he started asking those hunters. And it is said that along with Shukdev Goswami, all the animals also came. A lot of animals came after they heard that shloka, and none of them were afraid of the hunters. And as the hunters sang this shloka, they saw Shukdev Goswami coming. As they saw Shukdev Goswami coming, all their sinful mentality went away. They got freed from all the sinful mentality of hunting other animals. Now, animals were not scared of them. And as they saw Shukdev Goswami, they were thinking, who is this? Is this sun god himself has come? Is this the sunlight, or is this the sun god? Is this the moon god has come, or is it the moonlight? Or whether the moon and sun god have come together. So such was the effulgence of Shukdev Goswami. So as those hunters saw, and then Shukdev Goswami asked them, who has taught you this verse? What were you singing? Whose glories were you singing? And then they said, this is taught to us by Srila Vyasadeva. There is, he lives very close by. He has told us. And then Shukdev Goswami asked them, have you heard has he taught you any more thing? He said, yeah, he has taught us one more verse. Yeah. And the other verse is, this was spoken by Uddhavji when he meets Vidurji. This is in the 3rd canto. We'll discuss that also. And in this verse, Uddhavji is recalling how Putana came to kill Lord Krishna, but Krishna gave her the gati of a mother. Yeah. So this is how Uddhavji is saying. Aho bakiyam stanakal kutam. Aho bakiyam stanakal kutam. Jinghasayapa yadapi asadhavi. Lebhe gatim dhatrayuchitam tatonyam. Lebhe gatim dhatrayuchitam tatonyam. Kamva dayalum sharanam vrajema. So Uddhavji recalled this or he spoke this shloka, but these hunters, then they told Shukdev Goswami, this was another verse that we've learned from. So in this verse, Prabhuji Mataji, what Uddhavji was saying to Vidurji is that he is also recalling missing Lord Shri Krishna. So in this shloka, he is saying that Aho Bakiyam Stan Kalakutam. You know, Putana, who was the sister of Bakasur. So Bakasur's sister is called Baki. So he says that Baki, that demoness, she came to kill. Stan Kalkutam, on her breast, she had put that Kalkut, that poison, Prabhuji Mataji, not even need to touch. Kalkut is so poisonous, it is so powerful. Even if somebody looks at it from a distance, it can affect your eyes. So strong poison. And she had put that poison on her breast. Yeah, she came to breastfeed Krishna when he was only 6 days old. Stan Kalkutam, Jinghasaya, she came to kill him. Yeah, she came to harm him. Yeah, apayad. She came to kill him in the form of a mother to feed him from her breast. Api asadhvi. Even though she was asadhvi, she was not pious. Yeah, she was impious. She was sinful. She had bad intentions. She came to kill her. But what did Krishna do? Lebhe gatim dhatrayo uchitam tatonyam. Krishna gave her the gati, gave her the liberation or her destination. She actually went to the Golok Vrindavan, and she actually was positioned as mother of Krishna. She got the position of mother of Krishna. Yeah, lebhe gatim dhatrayo uchitam. So the gati, or the destination which is meant for a mother, yeah, to the level of mother, she got that destination of a mother. And then he says, Kamva dayalum sharanam braja. Who else can be so merciful? Yeah, I take his shelter. So this is what Uddhavji was saying. So now as Shukdev Goswami heard that verse, he became very much attracted. And he's asking them again and again, those 2 hunters, who has taught you these verses? Please take me to him. Please take me to him. And then those 2 hunters guided Shukdev Goswami, and they brought him to the ashram of Vyasadeva. And that's when Prabhuji Mataji, now Shukdev Goswami, he comes back, even though he was liberated. Atma Ramascha Munyo, even though he was self-realized, but this is the quality. Itham bhut guno hari. This is the potency of gun, of the qualities of that supreme personality of Godhead, that everyone gets attracted. And when everyone gets attracted, no matter what ashram you are, no matter what stage of life you are, and what you start doing, ahetukim bhaktim, you start doing unmotivated devotional service to the supreme personality of Godhead. And now Sud Goswami tells them, yes, he was liberated. He was liberated and he was free. He was Nivritti, he was Nirat, he was a Muni, he was Atmaram. But still, he some adhyasata, samyak as in some. He studied this Granth, this Srimad Bhagavatam completely, thoroughly, perfectly. He studied this Granth from his father. Because this is the potency of hearing the qualities of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he says, not just that, he passed on this Granth, this knowledge to Parikshit Maharaj. Yeah, then he went on. You see, on one side, he's walking in the forest as a Atmaram. But then he says he went into the assembly of Parikshit Maharaj. Yeah. So and why did he go? Now he says, Sud Goswami says, Harir Guna Akshipto Matir Bhagavan Badarayani. Yeah, the son of Bhagavan Badarayan, son of Vyasdevji. Yeah, because he was Harir Guna Akshipt Mati. His intelligence was taken over by the guna, by the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, so he was so exalted, he was covered by the Akshipt Mati. Harir Guna Akshipt Mati Bhagavan Badarayani. And then he says, and then what did he do? And then he says, Adhyagan Mahad Akhyam. Adhyagan Mahad Akhyam Nityam Vishnu Janapriya. Adhyagan, he studied, and then Akhyam, Mahad. Mahad is in this great literature, Akhyanam. Then he also, Akhyanam, he also spoke this literature in the assembly of devotees. Because he is Nitya Vishnu Janapriya. People who are Vishnu Jan, who are Vaishnavas, who are devotees of Bhagavan Vishnu, who are devotees of Krishna, who are Vaishnavas, yeah, who take pleasure in the pastimes of the Supreme Personality. They are Vaishnavas. So he studied that. Not only studied that, he also discussed that Srimad Bhagavatam in the assembly of devotees. And then there are a few other examples, Prabhuji Mataji, who got attracted by the quality, by the gunas of Supreme Personality of God. Now this is Bilva Mangal Thakur. You know Bilva Mangal Thakur, he was a Brahmin. He was a very rich Brahmin in South India. And he was so rich, then Bilva Mangal Thakur, he gets attracted. He got into a relationship. He was doing woman hunting. He was going to other bad places. Yeah, he was doing all those sort of things. Yeah, and one day he went to see one of his friends, and then it is said that his father had passed away. He performed the final rites, rituals, sanskara for his father, and he was so much attacked by the calm, by the desires, that he went and he crossed the river. It says there was a corpse, dead body floating into the river. It was so raining, he couldn't see anything. So he used that dead body as a boat to cross the river, and he went onto the door of that lady. And as he knocked the door, that lady just chastised him. She said to him, "What kind of person you are? You are so much attracted to this body which is made of stool, urine, and these 5 elements, right? If you had shown this much attraction to the Supreme Lord, to the qualities of the Supreme Lord, maybe you could have attained him in this lifetime." And that really touched Bilva Mangal Thakur's heart. At that time, he was not Bilva Mangal Thakur. He was just a normal person. But then it says, Prabhuji Matai, then he went and he lived in Vrindavan. And then he got so much enchanted by the beauty, by the pastimes of Krishna. When he will play, when he will sing, Krishna will come and dance. That's what you see in this picture. He's playing the bhajan and he's dancing. He got so advanced. And we hear that famous Krishna Karanamrit that is written by Bilva Mangal Thakur. What is that? What is that first verse of that? Padar vinde mukhar no karar vinde padar vindam mukhar vinde viniveshayantam vatasya patra sapute shayanam balam mukundam manasa smarami. Yeah. So that famous, that is a vision that Markandeya Rishi got. So when he saw Lord Krishna at the time of Pralaya, he could not see anything. So he saw that a little Krishna on a leaf, you know, a little baby Krishna is on a leaf. Vatasya patrasya, on a banyan tree leaf. There's a little baby Krishna, and what he's doing, yeah. So he's holding his foot, yeah. Karara vinde padara vindam. In his lotus hand, he's holding his lotus foot. And what he's doing, mukhara vinde viniveshayantam. He's sucking the toe of his leg within his mouth. So he got that vision. Balam Mukundam Manasasmarami. I remember that Mukund Balak, that baby form. So he got so advanced, Prabhuji Mataji, that when Bilmangal Thakur will sing, Krishna will come. So it is all because of the qualities and glories of Shri Krishna. And then also our Sanat Kumars, these 4 Kumaras, they were impersonalists. Impersonalist means who does not believe in any form of Krishna. They say he's formless. But when they saw Supreme Personality of Godhead, we will discuss that famous pastime in the 3rd canto, how they cursed Jai Vijay and they become Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh, those doorkeepers. But these 4 Kumaras, they went to take darshan. But as soon as they got the smell of the tulsi leaves offered onto the feet of Lord Vishnu, they just changed and they got so attracted. As you can see now, one of the Kumar, he's touching the feet of Lord Vishnu. There is one who is looking at his face, yeah, and there is one who is holding his hands to his chest in awe of his beauty. Yeah. So this is the glory. So the glory, or this is the beauty of Krishna, which can attract anyone and everyone. Yeah. So the question from Shaunakadi Rishi was, why did Vyasdevji told this Bhagavatam to his son, and why did Shukdev Goswami had to read the Srimad Bhagavatam even though he was already liberated? So we have answered that question through these 2 verses, Prabhuji Mataji. I hope you remember. One is Shukdev Goswami got attracted by the beauty of Krishna, by hearing his glorification and by his gunas, by his qualities, how merciful he is. When he gave the gati of mother to that Rakshasi, to that demoness who actually come to kill him. When Brahmaji is praying to Krishna, Brahmaji is in Brahma Vimohan Leela, Brahmaji tells Krishna, my dear Krishna, you have given this Putna who came to kill you, you have given her a position equal to of your mother. I wonder, Brahma is saying, I wonder how you're going to repay to these gopis and to these gopas, from whose hand you are eating, from whose house you are stealing, from whose house you are stealing the butter and drinking the milk. How are you going to repay them? To this one demoness who came to kill you, you have given the position of a mother. My dear Lord, I don't know how you're going to repay. So that's how Brahmaji wonders. So this is how Prabhuji Mataji, the gunas, and that's the whole purpose of us studying this Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. Now we go to the next verse, or the next part of this chapter. So now we coming how Shukdev Goswami spoke this to Parikshit Maharaj. But before that, we will talk about Parikshit Maharaj's birth. So in today's verse that we discussed was Parikshito ath Raj Rishe. Yeah. Janma Parikshito ath Raj Risher Janma Karma Vilapanam. Yeah. Samsthan cha Pandu Putranam. Yeah. Samsthan cha Pandu Putranam. Vakshaye Krishna Kathodayam, which gives rise to the Krishna Katha. So what had happened, Prabhuji Mataji, after the Mahabharata war, all the Kauravas, almost everyone was killed. There were 3 prominent members of the Kaurava army who were still alive. It was Ashwathama, Kripacharya, and Kritvarma. Kripacharya, as you know, he is Mama, he is maternal uncle of Ashwathama. Ashwathama is son of Dronacharya, and Kritvarma was a leader of the Narayani Sena. When Duryodhana asked for the Narayani Sena, so Kritvarma was actually a Yadav, but he fought from the side of Kauravas because Duryodhana had asked for the army of Lord Krishna, Narayani Sena. So these 3 were left, and Duryodhana was hiding somewhere in the lake, in a river. So everyone was killed, and then these 3, they were hiding in the forest under a tree, and they were talking among themselves. Then they were looking for Duryodhana, these 3, As the three were looking for Duryodhan, then one sound came from the lake, and that sound was of Duryodhan. Because as you know, Bhim was going to kill Duryodhan. Yeah, Bhim had taken a vow. Everyone was killed, and Duryodhan was hiding. Now, as they heard that sound from the lake, they recognized this is Duryodhan, and Duryodhan also recognized that these are Ashwathama, Kripacharya, and Kritvarma. So he trusted them, right? And then they spoke to each other, and then they explained everything to Duryodhan, and then they said to Duryodhan, "Okay, Duryodhan, you stay there." And Ashwathama said, "I'm going to take revenge. I'm going to kill the Pandavas for you." He said something like that. But then it is said that these three were hiding, and there were also some spies from the Pandava side. They heard that conversation. They went and told Bhim that this is where Duryodhan is hiding. Then Bhim comes, and there is a fight between Bhim and Duryodhan. The fight continues, and finally Bhim overpowers Duryodhan, and he literally kills him, and he leaves him there to die. You know, he broke his thigh, and then he leaves him there to die. And then Pandavas went back, and there is a mood of celebration, or you can say they are getting together in their army. Now, as that happened, now Ashwathama, Kripacharya, and Kritvarma, they knew what had happened. Now Ashwathama goes back to Duryodhan again, and he talks to him, and he says, "My dear friend, I feel very sorry. I feel very sorry, and you're also my master. I'm not able to serve. But I take a vow. I'm going to kill these Pandavas. I'm going to bring you their head." They saying this, Ashwathama goes back. And then as they were sitting under that tree, Prabhuji Mataji, it was night time. And on the tree, there were some crows. The crows had their nest. And as the crows had their nest, those crows were attacked by owls. Those crows were attacked by owls. Owls killed those crows and destroyed their nets, and then they went away. As they were killing those crows, there was noise, there was that sound, and Ashwathama got some inspiration from that event. He thought during the daytime, these crows chase these owls, because owls cannot see during the daytime. He thought during the daytime, crows chase the owls, but during the nighttime, these owls have killed the crows. So he said in the nighttime, now whoever it's depending on the time and circumstances, he says, I'm going to go and kill the sleeping Pandavas. He thinks of that plan. As he thinks of that plan, Ashwathama, Kripacharya, and Kritvarma tells him, no, don't do this. This is very bad. But he said, no, they have killed my father. They killed Dronacharya. That Drishtadyumna killed Dronacharya because Yudhishthira lied. Yeah, they killed Bhishma Pitama because they brought Shikhandi in front of Bhishma Pitama. So they haven't won this battle by following the dharma. So I'm going to kill them. And then they gave in. Kripacharya and Kritvarma they gave in, and Ashwathama then goes. Ashwathama goes into the Pandavas camp, and he starts looking for people. So now he is entering into their camp here. He goes into their camp, Prabhuji Mataji, and then he first finds Drishtadyumna. Drishtadyumna was son of Drupad. Drishtadyumna killed Dronacharya. Drishtadyumna was sleeping, and he said Ashwathama kicked him. He kicked him so hard, and then he just, took the life out of him. He just kicked him, killed him, and with his sword, he killed him. So he killed Drishtadyumna. Then he goes, he finds Shikhandi. Then he killed Shikhandi because Shikhandi had killed Bhishma Pitama. And like this, he's going and killing. And as he's killing, there are fights. So his own body is injured as well. He's full of blood himself because he's got wounds on his own body. And he goes and looking for Pandavas. He cannot find Pandavas. Then he comes across the 5 sons of Pandavas sleeping. He goes into their room, and then he chops off their head. He kills them. As he kills them, then in the meantime, what is happening is Kritvarma and Kripacharya, they are guarding the outside. Whoever is running out of the camp, they are killing them so that the news doesn't go out. So this is how they attack. Now he killed those 5 sleeping sons, and he takes their head. Those 3 now go to Duryodhan, who was lying on the bank of the lake or bank of the river. He takes those 5 heads, and he tells Duryodhan, my dear friend, my dear master Duryodhan, I have killed the 5 Pandavas. And then Duryodhan tells him, okay, give me the head of Bhim. So he gives him the one head. Duryodhana touches the head, and Duryodhana can feel this is not Bhim's head. And Duryodhana feels very sad. And he says, my dear friend, it is very unfortunate. What you have done is not right. You have done very wrong thing. You have killed those sleeping children. This is not right. You have done a big mistake. And in saying this, Duryodhana dies. He leaves his body. Right? Now these three, they again start going looking for place to hide, what to do. They were so dejected. Now on this side, on the Pandavas camp, now as Draupadi finds out, now she finds out, she goes, and when she goes to wake up her sons, she sees all of them dead without the head, dead bodies. And she starts crying. As she starts crying, then Arjun comes. Arjun comes and Arjun tries to pacify her. And Arjun tells her that please don't worry. Please don't worry, I will do something. I will do something, and I will bring, by the time they have found out that it was Ashwatthama who had killed the 5 sleeping sons. And Arjun tries to pacify Draupadi. And he tells her, I will go and I will bring Ashwatthama. And he promises her, he tells her that I will bring his head. Yeah, he tells, oh gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahmana, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiv bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath by standing on his head. Yeah. So Arjun makes that promise. Now here Sud Goswami writes that as he makes that promise, then he starts going out. So he says that iti priyam valgu vichitra jalpahi. Iti priyam valgu vichitra jalpahi. Yeah. Priyam, to his wife, to his dear wife, he spoke these words, which were a sweet, valgu. Vichitra, very important. These are vichitra, means something which is wondrous, or which is not so ordinary. You know, something out of the ordinary. Now, Arjun speaking these words, this is something out of the ordinary. And our Acharya says that, why did Arjun say that? Yeah. So it was more, and then the next word says, Valgu Vichitra Jalpai. You know, Prajalpa we say. We just say some things which we really don't mean, you know, or which doesn't make any sense. So they're using the word Jalpai. So he says that Arjun made that promise to his good wife by saying these words, because they were beheaded. So he's also telling them, he's also telling her, she's not saying anything, by the way. She hasn't asked ask him to bring her their head, bring her his head. But Arjun himself is speaking these words. So it is said that Valgu, he spoke these sweet words, which is out of ordinary. Yeah, but it was to pacify her. It was to pacify her. So in the next line, they says, Santvatya. Santvatya, as to pacify her, to give her santvana. He spoke those words. And as he spoke those words, then he says, there's Achyut Mitra Suta. Achyut Mitra Suta. Very good. Anva Dravad Damshita. Yeah. Anva Dravad Damshita. Yeah. And then he's carrying his bow and he's riding on a chariot. Dravad, horses. Yeah. Anva Dravad. He starts riding on his chariot and he's following to whom? So he says, Guru Putram Rathen. Yeah. So he starts running behind on the Rath. Now, very important. This is where, Prabhuji Mataji, our Lord Shri Krishna now enters into Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. So what he's saying is, so let's look at this verse again. So he says, after saying this, Arjun, he spoke these unordinary words to Priya, to his dear wife. Yeah. Santvatya, to pacify her. And then he got onto Rathen, he got onto the chariot, which is Achyuta Mitra Suta. Achyut is infallible, and Mitra is friend, and Suta is charioteer. Yeah. So with his dear friend Krishna, who is infallible, yeah, Arjun starts chasing whom? Guru Putram. He starts chasing his Guru Putram, and he is holding in his hand his dhanva. So his bow. So he's holding Gandhi in his hand. So another important point, Prabhuji Mataji, to focus here. So this is the entry of our Supreme Lord, or you can say the very first time Sud Goswamiji or in Srimad Bhagavatam, mention of Lord Shri Krishna now being made here, that he is here. He is performing, he's part of this pastime. So it says that so Lord Shri Krishna, he's happy for his, for his devotees. He's happy to be their charioteer. So he's entering into this pastime as a servant, right? Even though he's infallible, achyut, but he is happy to become a servant for his devotees, for his friend. Yeah, like Bhishma Pitama in 9th chapter, he recalls, he says, Yan matulam manne, yeah, mitram suhridam, yeah, to whom, Yudhishthira Maharaj, you think of your son of your maternal uncle. He's Lord Krishna is standing there, Pandava is standing there, and he's on the deathbed. He says, this Shri Krishna, Yudhishthira, whom you think to be your matulam, the son of your mama, your maternal uncle, you think of him to be your friend. Yeah, not just that. Akaro, Sachivam, Duta. Akaro, as in he performed service for you. Sachivam, he was a minister for you. Dutam, he also performed the duty of ambassador for you. When Lord Krishna went to become when he went to Dhritarashtra as a messenger of peace. Not just that, he says, Sohradat ath sarathim. Oh, my dear Yudhishthira, he also agreed to become your Sarathi, becomes your charioteer. That Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, he is none other than Supreme Lord Krishna, to whom you have thought of your friend, your servant, your your minister, your ambassador, and your charioteer. He is that Supreme Lord. Yeah. So this is how Prabhuji Mataji, our Lord Krishna, enters. You can say his entry in Srimad Bhagavatam as a servant, you can say, as a servant of his devotee, not as a supreme Lord, even though he's Supreme Lord, but he's entering, or his first mention is as a servant of his devotee. So now, so Arjun starts chasing Ashwatthama in his chariot, and Lord Krishna is driving that chariot. And as Arjun's chariot is going, now slowly Ashwatthama sees that Arjun is coming, and he feels that he won't be able to run very far. So now Ashwatthama starts preparing to use Brahmastra. So he thinks, I cannot be spared, I cannot run too much further. So my only option to save my life is to use Brahmastra. So Ashwatthama takes water, performs the Achman, and then he shoots Brahmastra. As he shoots Brahmastra, now what happens is everywhere, Prabhuji Mataji, there is fire everywhere. There is heat everywhere. And as that heat is coming, now Arjun gets bewildered. And Arjun starts praying to Supreme Lord. He starts offering prayers. These are very nice prayers, Prabhuji Mataji. 5 shlokas. I can send you the reference afterwards. I think we all should recite these prayers. Arjun starts offering prayer. Arjun says to Krishna, 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 Mahabaho, Bhakta Nam Abhyam Kara. Tvam ek dahyamananam. Yeah. Tvam ek dahyamananam apvargo asi samskriti. He says, oh Krishna, Mahabaho. See, he's his charioteer, but he's addressing Krishna that you are the Mahabaho. You are the supremely powerful. Bhakta Nam Abhyam Kara. You can make your devotees fearless. Where? You can make your devotees fearless. And then he says to him that you are the only one. Tvam ek dahyamananam. You are the only one, dahyamananam, who can save all this burning. Right? He also refers to the burning at the time, and in general also Prabhuji Mataji refers to the burning all around us, like we are all suffering from COVID, isn't it? It's everywhere. Yeah. So he says, Tvam ek dahyamananam apvargo asi, the moksha, the deliverance. Yeah, you are the only one who can deliver us from this samsriti. Samsriti, I explained last time, means samsar. Samsriti, it is samsar, which means birth, disease, old age, and death. So we are going through this cycle. So he's saying to Krishna, my dear Lord, you are the only one who can make us fearless. You are the only one who can save us from this cycle. Yeah. And then he goes to say, Kimidam, swit veti kuto, swit kuto veti, na dev dev na vedam. So he says, what is this? Where is it coming from? Oh Dev Dev, oh God of the gods, I don't know. I cannot understand. Where is it coming from? Sarvato mukham ayati. Tejah param darunam. Sarvato mukham ayati. It is coming from everywhere. So such was the power of Brahmastra. And the fire, the heat was coming from everywhere. Sarvato mukham. From every direction this is coming. From top, from sides, from left, from bottom. Everywhere this fire is coming. And he says, Teja, the fierceness of this fire is param darunam, is very difficult to bear. Where is it coming from? And then he paid obeisances to Krishna. He surrenders to Krishna. Like I said, similar situation like us now. Why can't we offer these prayers? We are also suffering from every side. These problems are coming. So he offers, and then Krishna tells Duryodhana, tells Arjun that Arjun, this is Ashwathama. He has used Brahmastra. He has shot a Brahmastra, but he doesn't know how to take the Brahmastra back. Now I tell you, to counter that, you also shot a Brahmastra. And then Arjun also prays. He prays, he offers. I mean, it is mentioned there in Srimad Bhagavatam. Arjun just doesn't get off and shoots an arrow. Arjun also performs an achman. He also prays. He does parikrama of Supreme Lord. He does parikrama and then he shoots an arrow. Yeah. We will find a similar pastime when Dhruv Maharaj, Prabhuji Mataji, in the 4th canto will study. When the Vishnu Dutas come to take Dhruv Maharaj back to Godhead, then what does Dhruv Maharaj do? Dhruv Maharaj asks the Vishnu Dutas to wait. They have come with a plane and he asked them to wait. Then what does he do? Dhruv Maharaj, where he was, he goes around. He goes around to all the rishis, all the ashrams in the surrounding area. He pays his obeisances to them. He tells them that I'm going. Please forgive me if I made any mistake. It is not like us. I mean, if you are so fortunate, and let's say you are performing your Japmala at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and Vishnu Doots come, what will you do? You just pack your Japmala. Okay, my plane is here. You will go and jump on the plane. Drop the Japmala. No. These activities should continue. Right? So Dhruv Maharaj performed those activities. We have in our Maharashtra, we have Sant Tukaram. When the Vishnu Dutas came to take him, yeah, he goes. There is a very nice bhajan. So he tells everyone that Ami jato apल्या गावा, yeah, माझी Ram Ram ध्यावा. Ami jato apल्या गावा, माझी Ram Ram ध्यावा. So he tells everyone that I'm going to my gaon, I'm going to my village. Please say my Ram Ram to everyone. So the point is, Prabhuji Mataji, even though he was instructed by Lord Shri Krishna, even Arjun did not forget his position. Very important. He did not forget his position. He did not just got off and shot the Brahmastra. He paid his obeisances. He did a parikrama of Lord Shri Krishna. He did his achman, and then Arjuna also shot a Brahmastra. Now, as Arjuna also shot a Brahmastra, now 2 Brahmastra are against each other. And it says that now it is fire everywhere. Everything starts burning. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, this is much bigger. Today's atom bomb is nothing. The nuclear bomb is nothing. So this is so subtle. You can direct them to a particular place. You can control them. You can bring them back. So all these powers are there. And then they say Vyasdevji was close to that area. And then Vyasdevji also comes. And then he was able to help bring both the Brahmastra back. Now both the Brahmas get back. Now Arjun goes and Arjun now arrests Ashwathama. Now as Arjun captures Ashwathama, now Lord Krishna starts speaking to Ashwathama. Very nice. Now here you can relish how Lord Krishna is now going to challenge Arjun. Once again he is testing Arjun. So Lord Krishna tells Arjun that this ma enam parth arhasi ma enam parth arhasi tratum, yeah, Brahma bandhu imam jahi. O Arjun, this Brahman bandhu, right? I told you last time also, Brahman bandhu he's called a friend of a Brahman who is not actually a Brahman. Even though he was born to Brahman father, his actions were not of Brahmana. So he's called Brahman bandhu, not Brahman. So Krishna tells Arjun that this Brahman bandhu, jahi, from death, he is not to be shown any mercy. Tratum, yeah, arhasi, he doesn't deserve to be given any mercy. Yeah, why? Because Suptan Vadhin Nishi Balaka, because he has killed the children, he has killed the sleeping children who were in the sleep. And then Lord Krishna tells another principle to Arjun. He tells that, oh Arjun, you should not show by any mercy by releasing this relative of Brahmana Bandhu, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleep. And then Krishna tells him that there are 10 kind of people to whom mercy should not be shown. Now, very important. So he says, Mattam unmattam pramattam, yeah, suptam balam istriyam jadam, prapannam, yeah, bhitam viratham, yeah, na ripum hanti dharmavit. So he says there are 10 classes. A person, dharmavit, who knows the principle of religion, does not kill an enemy who is careless. Mattam, unmattam, who is intoxicated. Pramattam, who is insane. Suptam, who is asleep. Bhitam, who is afraid. Right? Viratham, who is devoid of his chariot. Right? Balam, nor does he kill a boy. Istriyam, a woman. Right? Jadam, a foolish creature. Or prapannam, somebody who has surrendered. He, of these 10, somebody who knows the principle of religion, he does not kill these 10 type of people. But this Ashwathama, he does not deserve to be shown any mercy, because then Krishna again says, Swa pranan yah par pranai tad vadastasya hishreyo. If somebody kills someone else to save his own life, yeah, if you hurt someone to protect your life, then that person also should not be shown any mercy. Swa pranan yah par pranai tad vadhastasya hishreyo. Then he says it is beneficial for that person only to be killed, because he will go and further fall down. And then moreover, Krishna says, moreover that pratishrutam bhavta cha panchalyai. Yeah, Shranvato Mama. He says, and also Arjun, I heard you made a promise to Panchali. Now see Arjun, now Lord Krishna is now going to challenge. He is now testing Arjun. He says, you should not show any mercy to him because of these and these reasons. And moreover, Arjun, I heard Prati Shrutam Cha Bhavta. I heard you made a promise to Panchali, to your dear wife. I heard that. Shrinvato Mama, I heard myself, you made that promise. Now what are you going to do? See? So Arjun spoke those words. So this is the real test of a devotee. You know. So Arjun, obviously, he decides not to obey those instructions. But Krishna is testing him. Because Krishna has also told him principle. Somebody who is surrendered, somebody who is without any chariot. Now Ashwathama is not without a chariot. He is without a chariot, right? He's not on a chariot. So he falls into one of those 10 conditions. So Krishna is saying to him, person who knows the principle of religion does not kill them, even though it is a ripu. Na ripum hanti dharmavit, right? Ripu as an enemy. Even though he's an enemy, but a knower of principle of religion does not kill any of these 10 people. Who is Viratham? He is lost his chariot. Yeah. So Krishna is testing Arjun. But Arjun is not bewildered. Even though he made a promise, he said, okay, I made a promise. Let us take it to Draupadi. Let Draupadi make a decision. So now Arjun brings Ashwathama arrested and he brings in front of the Draupadi. As he brings in front of Draupadi, you can see there is that Bhim. Bhim got very upset. Bhim just wanted to chop his head off. Yeah, but Lord Krishna intervenes. On one side, he's got Draupadi. On one side, he's got Bhim. So he is covering them. But as soon as Draupadi sees, so he says, Tatha hritam pashuvat pashbaddham. As Draupadi sees Ashwathama, pashuvat, like an animal, Pashbaddham. He's tied like an animal. Yeah. Then Draupadi, he says, Sud Goswami says, Vam Swabhava. Vam Swabhava Kripaya Nanam Cha. Now, as Draupadi sees Ashwathama, he's bound like an animal. He's arrested. Now, not just that she was not angry. She lost all the anger. Rather, he says, Vam Swabhava. Because of the female nature, she actually paid her obeisances to him. Vam Swabhava Kripaya, out of mercy, Nanam Cha. Nanam, she offered her obeisances to him. And she tells Arjun, Muchyatam Esha Brahmano Nitram Suta, Nitram Guru. So she tells him, please leave him, please release him, because he's a Brahman son. He's the Brahmano, Nitram Guru. He's our Guru. He's the son of our Guru. Please release him. And then she also reminds Arjun, she says that he's the son of your Guru. That Guru who told you all the secret of the art of weapons. Yeah. He says, Sa Rahasyo Dhanurveda. Sa Rahasyo, with all the secrets. He taught you all this, all the archery, all the skills of archery. Please release him. And he says, yes, Sa Esha Bhagavan Dron. Sa Esha Bhagavan Dron Praja Rupena Vartate. Not just, he's not an enemy. It is Guru Drona himself, Bhagwan Drona himself, here in the form of his son. Please release him. And as Draupadi says that, now everyone agrees with her. It's a Yudhishthira Maharaj also agrees. Nakul also agreed. Sahdev also agreed. Arjun also agreed. Arjun, who had promised that I will bring his head to you, Arjun also agrees. So he says, and Devaki Putro Bhagavan. Not just everyone else. Sud Goswami says, even Devaki Putra, even Bhagavan Krishna, who is the son of Devaki, Devaki Putro Bhagavan Cha Ye Anye Yascha. Everyone else, including Bhagavan Krishna, agreed with Draupadi. Now only Bhim is got his sword, and Bhim is saying, I want to kill him. Now Bhim says, no, he has to be killed. But Yudhishthira Maharaj says, yes, we all agree with what Draupadi has said. He should be released because he is the son of our Guru. But now as Bhim is raging with his sword, now Lord Krishna steps in. And smilingly Lord Krishna tells Arjun, Brahma Bandhu Nahantavyam Atatai Vadha Arhana. Yeah. Atatai Vadha Arhana. Mai Eva Ubhyam. Yeah. So he says, Brahma Bandhu Nahantavyam. Who is the friend of Brahman or who is the Brahman Bandhu should not be killed. But Atatai should be killed. And who is Atatai? Lord Krishna is already described a person who kills those 10 type of people. Unmattam Pramattam. Yeah. Mattam, Unmattam, Pramattam, Suptam, Balam, Istriyam, Jadam, Viratham. Yeah. And Viratham, Prapannam. Yeah. Who are surrendered. So a knower of religion does not kill them. So Lord Krishna is now telling Arjun, Brahmana Bandhu Nahantavyam, you don't kill that, but an Atatai has to be killed. He is an Atatai, but he is also Brahmana Bandhu. Brahmana Bandhu should not be killed, but an Atatai should be killed. And he says, Aham eva, Mam eva ubhau. Yeah, Amnatam. These rules in the scripture are described by me only. So then Arjuna asks, what should I do? Then he says, Kuru Satyam Parishrutam Santvaya Priyam. Whatever you said to pacify Draupadi, whatever you said to pacify your good wife Draupadi, that pratigya, that vow that you took, make that vow truthful. Kuru Satyam. And then he says, Priyam Bhim Senasya. Priyam Bhim Senasya Mahyam Evacha. Whatever is dear to Bhim Sen, do that, and whatever is dear to me, do that also. See, so Lord Krishna has put Arjuna in that situation. Brahmana, son of Brahmana should not be killed, Atatai should be killed. And then he says, these rules are spoken by me only, both of these. Ubhayam Amnatam, by me only, both of these. And whatever promise you made to Draupadi, fulfill that promise. Yes, fulfill that promise. Whatever is dear to him, do that also. And whatever is dear to me, do that also. Now Arjun is getting bewildered. So I made this chart, Prabhuji Mata. It's a bit whatever that we have spoken, but these are the various point of views. In the interest of time, I think we have gone a bit over. What is the time now? What is the time? Does anybody have time? Okay, we'll just continue. I think we only quarter past 7. We can go up to 7:30. Please correct me, Prabhuji Mataji, anyone. But I think we're just quarter past 7 now. So this is these are the various you can say point of view. So the first, Krishna tells Arjun not to show mercy, right? So he says Brahma Bandhu killed innocent boys, kill him. He violated principle of religion. He maintains at the cost of others, right? So he should be killed for his own benefit. And you promised Draupadi, so you should kill him. And then moreover, Krishna says he dissatisfied his master. Remember, Duryodhan was not happy with Ashwathama's actions. So Krishna says, he is but a burnt remnant of his family. And then Draupadi says, so Arjun passes the test. Now Draupadi says, so respect because he is a Brahmin. He is Guru Drona who taught you all the skills. Yeah. And Kripi, she also says that the Kripi, who is mother of Ashwathama, she did not enter into the fire as Sati. Because normally in the past, when a woman has son, she would not enter into the fire because then she will be staying under the protection of the sun. So Draupadi says, Mother Kripi, his mother, she did not enter into the fire as Sati because she had a son. And I don't want her to cry like me because how my sons are being killed. You see, paradukha dukhi. This is the quality of the bhaktas, of the devotees. And then he says, don't offend, and she says, don't offend a Brahman. And if you kill a Brahman, then it will bring grief to the royal family. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj supported Draupadi's statement, and he justified, and he says, this is glorious, this is full of mercy and without any duplicity. Everyone agreed. Arjun, Nakul, Sahadev, Satyaki, Lord Krishna, and all other ladies present there. Just think of the situation, Prabhuji Mataji. So many people got killed. The 5 innocent boys, they were beheaded. They were all crying. All the ladies were crying. But now everyone agreed by Draupadi's mercy. Vam Subhava. Yeah? She was so merciful. But Bhima was angry. He disagreed. He said, he killed the sleeping sons. Either you kill him or I'm going to kill him. Just hand him to me. I will chop his head off. As you can see, Bhimsen is just got his sword ready to chop him off. But then Krishna smilingly speaks to Arjun, and Krishna says to him, a Brahma Bandhu not to be killed, but an aggressor must be killed. And these rulings are in the scriptures, and he says you should know accordingly. Amna, Lord Krishna said that both of these rules are in the scriptures. And then he says you also have to fulfill your desire to your wife, and you must also act to the satisfaction of Bhimsena and me also. You should do that. Then what does Arjuna do? Let's see. Now Sud Goswami said, just then Arjuna could understand the motive of the Lord by his equivocal orders, and thus with his sword he severed both the hair and jewel from the head of Ashwathama. So Brahmana, when his hairs are cut, then it is as good as cutting his head. So his hairs were cut off. Yeah, Arjun did that. And he also had a jewel in his head. So that jewel, that money was also taken out. That money, Ashwathama was born with that money. That money was acting as a protection for him. And then he was released. And then it is said that he had already lost his bodily luster. And now, moreover, having lost the jewel from his head, he lost even more strength. And he was unbound. And then he was driven out of the camp. And then it says he got cursed, Ashwathama. Ashwathama, you know, Prabhuji Mata, he is one of the 7 Chiranjeevis. Ashwathama Balir Vyaso. Hanumanascha Vibhishana. Kripascha Vibhishan, Kripascha, Sapt Etena Chiranjeevina. These 7 are Chiranjeevi who are going to long live. But Ashwathama's long life is a life of curse. So he's got cursed. Now from his wounds, from his body, always pus and blood is coming out from his wounds. Yeah, he's hiding, and he's lost his all bodily luster. So then this is how the son of Drona was punished. Yeah, Ashwathama was punished and he was released into the forest. Yeah, but going back to our today's verse, Prabhuji Mataji, what did Sud Goswami tell all the sages in that assembly? He says, vakshaye Krishna kathodayam. Yeah, I'm going to speak, or I'm going to share with you that pastime which gives rise to the katha of Krishna. So he is going to speak to them about parikshito ath raj rishe janma karma vilapanam. Yeah, his janm, his birth, his activities, his vilapanam, his deliverance. Sansthamcha cha Panduputranam. Sanstham is the renunciation of the Panduputras. Yeah, Vakshaye Krishna Kathodayam, which will give rise to the Krishna Katha. So I'm going to speak to that. So with that, we'll stop here, Prabhuji Mataji. We did actually, I just see now we went a little bit long, but I hope you all were able to enjoy this pastime, and we will be able to follow some of these instructions in our daily life as well. So let me just